Namaskar. Team Hingori Sutras welcomes you to In Conversation with Kanupriya Singh on the geometry of energy. Yantra is a Sanskrit word for a machine. Mandala is a Sanskrit word that loosely translates to mean circle or center. Mandalas and yantras are geometrical drawings. The specific geometrical patterns harness that particular spectrum of positive energy. These energies help to materialize specific goals like wealth and prosperity, success and fame, knowledge and wisdom, progeny and health, etc. Yantras are used as tantric tools for worshipping of the divine feminine or Shakti. Even the mathematician of modern age confess that the geometry involved in the yantras is so complex that even today, with modern mathematics, it would take a lifetime of trial and error to come up with such patterns without computers. Mandalas are representations of your inner and outer worlds and a symbol of totality of existence. You can use both. It can be used both during meditation and for your spiritual quest. To educate us more about mandalas, we have with us Kanupriya Singh, the multifaceted Kanupriya with a corporate career of more than 15 years in the finance and real estate sector. She finally gave up all that to attend to Destiny's true calling of helping others through astrology and mandalas. With more than 20 years of experience in Vedic astrology, she is the creator of the app Astro Kanu, a unique platform that works like a life card. So, looking forward to learning a lot more about mandalas from you, Kanupriya. A very warm welcome to you. आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है. Hello, Kanupriya. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, a very warm welcome to you.
Are you able to see me? I'm not very sure.
Yes, yes, you're very visible and we can hear you clearly as well.
Thank you so much. A big thank you to you, Anjali, and thank you the whole team here. I also want to say a big thank you to the loving, supportive souls who introduced me to Anjali and the Hingori Sutras. I wish everyone all the best with the vision and the mission that you're on. I hope it sees growth and success in the coming times. I also want to welcome everyone who's taken the time out to be here and to, on a Sunday evening, you've come to listen to me. I am truly grateful. Before I start, I also want to thank my divine gurus and above all, the Divine Mother for allowing me to speak about her energy tonight. So, those of you who are expecting this session to have an audio visual will be slightly disappointed. Anjali ji had very kindly asked me that you need audio visual support, and I said, actually, no. You know, we spend the whole day looking at visuals, looking at text, reading it, grasping it. And I thought if I'm getting a chance to see everyone live, then instead of you reading things, why don't you just interact with me? And if you focus on what I'm saying and you keep an open mind, I promise to show you at least one visual. So let's start with the topic mandala. So mandala, the word comes from the Sanskrit word mandal, which basically means a circle. So what makes circles so special that it's being included in rituals and as part of the religion and faith across the world? The Native Americans use it, the Jains use it, the Buddhists use it, the Japanese use it. It's something that has been adopted universally by so many communities and faiths. What is so special about just a circle? So if you look further, a circle is not that simple, right? A circle is where we live. The earth is round, so it's a circle. The sun and the moon are round, are circles. They're all the planets are moving about each other in circles. The human body, the blood cells are somewhat round. The embryo, that is the beginning of a human birth, is also starts with the shape round. So for someone to see our galaxy, if an alien were to look at our galaxy, they would probably look at us and call us the circle galaxy, because everything seems to be going in circles. And that says a lot about the significance of the circle itself. The mandala itself is actually a process. So for me to explain a little more about it, I'll need 5 minutes of you, barely 5 minutes. So if all of you could not type for the next couple of minutes, in case you're drinking or eating anything, just put it aside for 2-3 minutes. For the next 2-3 minutes, I want you to keep your spine straight. You could sit straight. If you're lying down also, just lie down straight. Reorganize yourself. Bring your attention completely on what I'm saying. Just leave everything behind. Barely 2-3 minutes. I won't take much time. Try to focus on my voice. Sit and relax and shut your eyes. With your eyes closed, I want you to focus on your breath. Take a deep breath in. Feel the energy moving inside your body. Exhale slowly. Feel the energy moving out. Focus completely on you. I want you to now imagine a big, massive circle being drawn. A big circle being drawn. And right in the middle of the circle is a dot. It's the Kendra Bindu, the center point of the circle. Continue focusing on your breathing. Continue focusing on this big circle. Continue focusing on the center point, the dot. This center point is you. Feel you connected with the center point as you breathe in and breathe out universal energy through pranavayu or oxygen. Focus again completely on the center point. Now, as I go further, I'll tell you to add circles. Each time I tell you to add a circle, see a circle being drawn around the center point, which is you. So while you're placed in the middle of the circle, being the center point, you're also placed in your house. So create another circle around you for your house. Create another circle around you for the complex, the society, the colony that you're in. Create another circle for the city that you're in. Another circle for the state that you're in. Another one for the country. Another one for the continent. Another for Earth, for being on Earth. And being part of the entire galaxy that surrounds you and flows with the same energy that you breathe in. Take a deep breath and understand the connection of this galaxy and the universe with you. Focus your center back, focus your attention back to the center of the circle, right back to the center point, and open your eyes. So this process is called a mandala. It's a process of you understanding your relationship with the cosmos, with the universal energy, and what it's all about. The mandala first comes up, the mention of a mandala first comes up in the Rig Veda. The Rig Veda is basically a collection of hymns or prayers or mantras that praise everything around. They actually have prayers for the tiniest thing that exists in the world around us, in the universe around us. And weirdly, the collection is divided into mandalas. Instead of being called chapters, they're actually called mandalas. And I wonder if it's because every part, every mandala, every section has prayers that go around the entire universe. So I wonder if it's a prayer to the universe in circles, and that's why it's divided into mandalas. Now, the mandalas are a process that are personal to you. There are so many spiritual tools that the Vedic scriptures give us. There's mantra. Mantra, the word itself, is a combination of mana and tra. Mana being the mind, and tra in Sanskrit can be defined in many terms. Tra can be understood as focusing, constricting, expanding, or controlling. The Sanskrit words often have many meanings when translated. So mantra is something that you focus on when you need to center and control your mind. There is tantra, something that controls the physical reality or expands your physical reality, your body, the physical plane, etc. And yantra, something that constricts, uh, compresses, or enhances the root of your reality, yantra. So while these spiritual tools exist, why is mandala a separate category altogether? There's a whole uniqueness about the mandala, which is why it's away from these other spiritual practices. So a mandala is the only spiritual tool that can completely be customized about you, for you. So when I say that it's a process of your spiritual growth and your understanding of your evolution as you move towards higher levels of understanding and knowledge, it's because a mandala can completely be customized to your vibrations, your understanding of things, and what you like, what you feel connected to. It's the only spiritual tool that can be customized. Whereas if you look at mantras or other sadhanas or even the yantras, they're predefined. That's something that is defined, it's focused on a deity, it's focused on a particular thing, and you're adopting it and you're practicing it and you're inculcating it within you. But a mandala is something that can be completely focused only on your vibrations and your energies. And that's what makes a mandala most unique as a spiritual tool. You must have heard of various classes. There are teachers who hold classes, and these classes are basically about learning to draw mandalas. And if you actually manage to find a good original teacher, then what they will do is they will first invoke the consciousness, the universal consciousness within you to allow you to have the guidance that what is your pattern of growth and where are the roadblocks and what is exactly your path of growth in understanding the spiritual journey. And then they, after invoking that within you, they allow you and guide you to draw a mandala only for yourself. This is a personal mandala which you draw with your hands, with your liking, with your own guidance, and keeping it with you, focusing on it, praying around it, helps you move further in your own path and overcome the roadblocks that you may be facing. So mandala becomes completely unique as a tool since it's absolutely personalized as a spiritual practice. Also, mandalas can be based on various, they can be made with various substances. You could have mandala being drawn with wheat flour or turmeric or paints of all sorts, of course, and mandalas being drawn with flowers and even red chilies. So apart from mandala being with you as a practice, as an art form, it can also be a very elaborate rituals. A mandala puja is a ritual that is followed to invoke the energy for certain aims, keeping certain aims in mind, where all these mandalas are drawn, including, bringing in together various ingredients. As I mentioned, flowers, it could be fruit, it could be anything, things that have pran value in them. So you're actually creating a mandala with things that have the energy flowing in them. There are one of the most well-known mandala puja that happens in India every year is the puja at the Sabrimala temple. When sun moves into Scorpio is when they start doing the mandala puja, which is a very extensive ritual. A lot of people follow this as a sadhana. They follow, strict spiritual practices and discipline during this time, and the puja is done in very elaborate ways. So here you see mandala being used as a community coming together to pray and performing certain rituals. Apart from that, there can be mandalas which can be based on yantras. Now, when a mandala gets based on a yantra, it becomes less personalized because yantras are completely defined. Mandalas, otherwise on their own, without the yantras, work on various vibrations. So in my work, what I do is I combine Vedic astrology with mandalas. Vedic astrology charts give you a map of fluctuations in your life. It gives you exactly where the disturbances lie in the elements in your life. And the mandala would come in to help you bring in the alignment and create the balance which is disturbed. I also activate these mandalas and then give them out to clients so that the energy's flow starts and then they have to continue it. Mandalas and yantras need to be activated. As I had mentioned, when you make it, when you draw it with guidance for yourself, that doesn't need any activation because you're already putting in your energy and you are making it yourself. But if you need to pick up a mandala or a yantra from somewhere else, then just bringing it and putting it at home is going to hardly do anything for you. It's like bringing in a SIM card for a mobile and leaving it in a drawer and just waiting for it to start doing something for you, right? It's not going to, it's just a piece. So when you pick up a mandala or a yantra, it needs to be either activated, energized by someone who's doing this work, or you need to sit down and do the rituals and do the chanting and actually activate it. And then that's when the flow of energy begins and this piece of art actually comes into being at the real purpose that it's being picked up for. Yantras and mandalas, coming back to the differences. Now, yantras are extremely defined forms of art. They have particular predefined uh, diagrams that are made a certain way, while mandalas can be extremely personalized. You could have animals and flowers and whatever comes to your liking as part of your mandala. Sometimes certain spirit animals are drawn by community because as a community, they believe in that particular spirit animal. Or they may also paint other forms of gods in the middle of the mandala or around the border. So while mandalas can be personalized to your faith and your understanding, yantras are very, very predefined, very clearly drawn. They cannot be any alteration or personalizations, and they remain the way they are. When you combine together and have a yantra-based mandala, it becomes then a combination of the yantra and what you have added to it for your personal growth. So here you're literally picking up the universal energy, you're modifying you're altering it and modifying it to work for you in a certain way. A mandala is drawn with a certain intent or a sankalpa when when the diagram is done, and then that's how the universal energy supports you in a certain way. So while a mandala can be yantra based, yantras cannot be altered, they remain the way they are. Now, what is a yantra? Now, what happens is energy flows in the environment. Uh, it's all over in the universe. It flows within us. When we breathe in and breathe out the pranavayu, the oxygen, which we've recently, I think, started valuing a lot more than earlier, where what we are actually also doing is we are pulling in energy and we are regenerating that energy and exhaling. So there's a lot of movement that happens within the body in the process of breathing in and breathing out. This energy that flows within the body is not randomly flowing. Of course, nothing in the universe is randomly moving. Every planet has a particular defined path that they go on. Every movement is a perfect calculation. And just like that, the energy in our body moves perfectly in a defined manner. There, as energy flows through our body, there are more than 100 energy points that get formed, and energy gets circulated through these points. They tend to move in a circular manner, which is why the name chakra is given, which literally means wheel in English, to these energy points. So we have overall more than 100 chakras across our body. But the main center points of this process are the main 7 chakras. And they start from the bottom of the spine to slightly above the head. So this straight line becomes a very strong, important, crucial part of our existence at all levels. So in a way, we could say that our body itself is it's a yantra because we embody the universal energy within it. So to understand this better, when we sit down to do certain sadhanas and pujas, you might have noticed that there is a nyas that is done. The nyas is nothing but simply chanting of a couple of mantras, and you have to keep touching the various parts. It will always start from the top of the head and comes to the middle of your eyebrows and then go on to the tip of your toe. So the entire body is activated during the nyas with mantras and through touch, literally as we activate the yantras. So what you're actually doing at that moment is converting your body into a yantra to start receiving the guidance, the knowledge, and the spiritual energy, the universal higher vibration energy for whatever sadhana and whatever intention you've started with. So the first thing you do is sit down, do the nyasa. Now your body is open to receiving things. And then you start your chanting or your sadhana, whatever you're planning to do. So the nyasa is actually very important. And it does make us understand that our body also is a yantra. As the chakra flow, as the body, the energy flows through the chakras, it also forms certain patterns. When energy flows, it tends to form certain patterns. And though I'm not really a science student, never was, but those who know this better than me, if you look at the various cells, under a microscopic lens, you would see certain patterns. So any movement of energy through anything will always create certain patterns. So as the energy flows through our body also, every chakra, every center point creates a certain pattern. So each and every chakra is associated to a yantra, which is the diagram or the yantra for that particular chakra. And these chakras then further correlate to the universal energy and the universal chakras, which perhaps another time we can talk about. So while the body also can convert itself to a yantra, like I just explained, it's also important to understand what else happens, with a mandala or a yantra. Now, energy also flows at different frequencies. The main three frequencies that energy flows at is a very static, the original vibration, which is a very static, calm, peaceful vibration called sattva gun, and the deity or the energy form associated with it is Mahasaraswati or Saraswati. When there is creativity, there's action, and it starts to become more creative than static, then it moves into the vibration or the frequency of Rajas Gun or Rajasic. And the deity connected with it is Mahalakshmi. When it becomes more destructive or disruptive in nature, then it becomes tamasic, or it's called tamas gun, and the deity associated with that is Mahakali. Now, this entire component together, if we want to look at energy as a whole, then the deity for that is Mahamaya, also worshipped as Tripura Sundari. Tripura Sundari, the word itself, what it means is Tripura, the Sundari, the beauty of the three Tripurs or the three Purs, the three city or the three abodes. So if we want to look at the entire cosmic energy and focus on that, simple, just focus on Tripura Sundari. She is the energy that is presiding on the three abodes, which is Bhu, Bhuva, Swa. Bhu being earth, Bhuva being the Bhumandal or the entire atmosphere around the earth, and Swa means Swarga or the upper lokas or the higher planes. So when you want to simply look at this energy, just pray to Tripura Sundari. And I think the beauty of Vedic culture and Hinduism is that they bring down the vastness of the universe to a single point, making it so easy to focus, meditate, and connect with it. Otherwise, you'd be running all over and wondering how to do this and how do you actually bring this into your life? How do you actually feel a connection? So it's very simple. Just look at Tripura Sundari and focus on her. Since she is also the presiding deity for all the higher lokas, focusing on her also helps you raise your own vibration and move from the lower chakras to the higher chakras. Of course, the journey of moving the energy from one chakra to the other, there are a whole lot of mantras included, and there's sadhana. Every particular chakra has a mantra associated, a deity associated. So that's a whole lot other topic that I won't get into right now. So coming back to Tripura Sundari, she is the deity that is responsible for all chakras and all mandalas. But chakras can also be based on particular frequencies. So while Tripura Sundari embodies the entire energy as the Sri Yantra, when we look at certain frequencies, then there can be specific yantras based on those frequencies. For example, yantra for Kali, and there are also yantras based on various planets. The planets are basically an embodiment of the five elements. And when we look at yantras based for the planets, they are focused more on the element itself rather than the energy. So then the impact would be more towards the physical level or the physical plane, and not that much in the higher levels or the spiritual, or the awakened part of the universe. It would be more mundane in comparison. So the chakras itself is a very vast topic, and as I said, that they could also be based on, they can be included with mandalas to bring in the universal energy and try to convert it to something that is completely personal to you and be made by you. So this is the uniqueness of a mandala, that it gives you the freedom to convert a spiritual tool which is dedicated absolutely only to you. While with the other spiritual tools, they are focused on deities and you need to follow certain discipline. So primarily, this is what I have for the mandalas. The entire cosmos is mostly a mix of the five elements coming together and the energy flowing through them. If you look at your body, within your body, within your life, everything around is nothing but a combination of five elements coming together and energy flowing through various frequencies. So I hope you find this useful, and in case there are any questions, please feel free and I will try to answer them.
Thank you so much, Kanupriya, for explaining it so very simply. So it was very, very easy to understand. I have one question to start with, is how do we select a mandala for us? How do we know which one is the right one for us?
So first you need to decide, what do you need a mandala for? Because so it's very simple. I'm going to explain it maybe in 5 minutes, because I
Sure.
think first it's important to understand why are there so many different forms in Hinduism? Why do you have so many deities? uh, I mean, you could just sit down and pray to the infinite as formless, and that is also an option that is given to us. I think it's very, very important. The beauty of Sanatan Dharma is that it gives you the freedom to pick something that you vibrate at, to pick something that you connect with. Now, each and every deity has a different vibration and a frequency attached to it. So, very, very mundane example would be, if I'm struggling a lot in my life, and I'm constantly fighting a battle. I need, there is a court case that is happening that I'm struggling with. There are deaths. I'm fighting through an illness. I'm just facing conflicts in all possible ways, in all possible areas of my life. Then there is a lot of the frequency that I'm radiating at or living at has too much struggle. There's too much disruption. So likely I'm moving through a phase that is keeping me at a tamas level, and I need to break out of it. So then you need to pick a deity that will help you break the tamas. So you pick up a tamasic form like Rudra or Shiva or Mahakali, and you focus and chant on them. So that's the purpose of having various deities. Now, similarly, when you look at a mandala, you first need to decide, what do you need it for? Do you need it for prosperity? Do you need it for your spiritual growth? And accordingly, you need to pick the vibration. Now, the vibrations of a mandala would vary depending on the color, depending on the diagram in it. So if it's yantra based, then you can just pick it according to the deity that you want to choose. If not, then you look at the color schemes, which again connects to frequencies in energy. For example, blue and black again connects to Kali and Shiva, whereas a pink would connect to Lakshmi. So you look at the colors, you look at the diagrams, and above all, I believe that sit down, ask for guidance, pray for guidance, and ask the Devi to invoke her into your life and then start this journey of picking something for you. And I believe that the right mandala is something that you would naturally feel drawn to. You will feel connected to it. You'll look at it and you'll start feeling things within you, and that's your clue to pick it up. I hope this makes it clear.
Right. Yeah, it does. Thank you so much. Another thing is, you did explain as to how, how the energies get sort of, if you chant mantras and things like that, that's on the yantras, the energies sort of create those vibrations to bring about those changes, right? But in a mandala, do we, how is a mandala painted or created? So do we have to personally do it ourselves or paint it ourselves, or can somebody else activate it and do it for you? Because I think it's a little different process than a yantra. Yeah, so if you could please explain that. Yeah.
So there are two ways of doing this. If you want to make your own mandala, that is great, but you will need guidance for it. So you could try to look for a good teacher, and if not, spend at least a couple of weeks meditating, chanting, to allow yourself to receive the guidance before you start. That's very important. Because first, like I said, you need to convert your own body to receive the universal knowledge. Create this body, make yourself a yantra to receive, and then the right knowledge will start coming to you. So that's one way of doing it, and then you can completely draw it for yourself. The other thing, of course, is you can have someone else paint it. Someone who has the knowledge. Again, you need to tell them what is the intent. Why do you need it? For me, I use astrology as a tool to understand the vibrations. But there are people who would also be working on just meditative tools and guidance. And in that case, the person needs to activate the mandala and then give it to you. Activation is very important. Otherwise, it's just a piece of art which looks beautiful, but there is no energy flowing through it unless you actually activate it. I hope this answers the question.
Right. Yes, it does. Kanupriya, there's a question from Sandhya ji saying, thank you, ji, so very well explained. And her query is that, can one make a mandala after praying? And are these mandalas a kind of raksha protection yantra that can alter disrupted life patterns?
So, Sandhya ji, thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So I'll answer your question in two ways. One is, you can, like I said, you can paint it for yourself, but you need to go through at least a couple of weeks of a lot of chanting and focus and meditation with the Devi to try to, because you need to understand, the moment you bring in a mandala, you're inviting the Devi. And the intention is very, very important. If you have a pure intention of calling a mother to your life, she'll come with a lot of love. If you're going to have an intention of harming someone else or get into those practices where it starts becoming towards a negative karmic cycle, then she may not be very happy with you. And what she'll bring with you will be a strict regime, like a strict mother that comes to teach you lessons. So intent and prayer is very important. The second thing you asked me was about Raksha Yantra and protecting yourself. So, if you really want to bring in something to protect yourself and to have that instrument where it removes destruction, then I would say that depending on what are the kind of problems you're dealing with, a yantra might be more useful. But just remember, whether it's a mandala or a yantra, in both the cases, it's very, very important for you to continue to keep the energy flowing. So there are certain mantras associated with a mandala and a yantra, and wherever you take it from, or if you're learning to paint it for yourself from a guru also, you need to continue to chant that particular mantra, because that's what will keep the energy stable in it, flowing with it every day, and continue to keep making the change in your life. So it's important to continue that chant throughout while you have the yantra at home or the mandala at home. You don't need to sit and chant for 1 hour every day. Can be as simple as chanting the mantra 3 times, 11 times, whatever amount of time you want. But remember her every day and say thank you, address her. It's, if you have a guest coming and staying with you, you attend to them. It's just as simple as that. Keep it very simple. Address to her every day, because it is a form of Devi that you're bringing in. And yes, it can work as a protection, of course, but it completely depends on what you've picked up and how is it working for you.
Beautiful. There is another question here by Geetha Soni saying, with closed eyes, when you asked us to do the exercise in the beginning and the deep breathing, I observed a flame. I mean, that's what you could see. So what does that mean?
I observed what? I didn't get that
A
word.
flame, a flame.
Okay. So, fire is a very, very important factor in our life. It's a very important element in our life. Without fire, we can't really do much. We can't even digest our food. So I would think that in your life as a person, you likely have a very strong, powerful fire element. I mean, I don't know you, but you must be a good cook. You might be energetic. You might have had issues sometimes connected to temperament or dealing with others' temperament, and those might have been your lessons in your journey. So when you tried to go within and connect with the universal energy, the first thing that came to you was the fire element. So that can be one understanding. The other understanding is also that perhaps you're used to lighting a candle or a diya when you sit down to pray. So you associate that with the universal energy. So it's just an association that you're going back to. Either way is completely fine. And if you have further questions or comments on this, please go ahead and ask.
Right. In the meanwhile, there's another question. Is it true that mandalas have to be kept in the bedroom?
No, so mandalas needs to be kept in a certain direction. Absolutely, that is completely true. And that again, for me, because I use astrology, I look at the chart and I decide the directions. For you, if you're not sure and you're making it for yourself and you're confused, just put it in the east, facing west. That's something you can't go wrong with. If you're facing too many struggles in your life, put it in the north, looking at west. That's another way of looking at it. But they don't need to be in the bedroom. Can they be in the bedroom? They can be in the bedroom. Depends on what mandala you picked up, or what it completely depends on what you're doing with it. It can be an option, but it doesn't have to be an option.
There's one more question here, which is, after you achieved or your wish has been fulfilled, after having brought in a mandala, what do you do with that mandala?
So, like I said, mandala is a process, right? Our life is such that one thing gets fulfilled. What do we do next? We don't stop living. We still continue to live, right? And why should you create such a toxic relationship with the goddess that once you're done with your part, you're like, okay, now I don't. Do you do that to your mother? When you go to your mother and you ask her for help and she helps you out, do you say that, okay, now, I'm done, so I don't need you anymore? I think that's a very unhealthy way of creating relationships. And it's very important for us humans, if we don't learn it already, that this is a wrong attitude to have towards anything in life. So if something came to your life and it blessed you, then at least continue to be grateful every day. Continue the mantra and say, I'm grateful and I'm thank you so much. That'll be enough. You don't need to do anything else. The Devi is not very demanding, but love is something that needs to radiate.
Thank you very much. There is another question by Ribhav who says that, can you also explain, if possible, about the Kal Chakra Mandala, please?
Okay, so the Kal Chakra is a very vast topic in itself. The basis is actually we use it in astrology also. The basis is the various directions. Every direction has a certain element and a deity attached. The Kal Chakra mandala again becomes a mandala that is it's based on a yantra or a particular drawing. It is one of the most powerful mandalas, and you must continue to make sure that you're praying or chanting every day with it. What exactly do you want to ask me?
Yeah, so I request you to please put in that point here. Ribhav, we'll wait for your question is exactly what do you want to know about the Kal Chakra Mandala? In the meanwhile, I think we can just ask a little, another question here is Akshay Kadam asks, Kanupriya ji, can you please explain what should be my state of my mind, when I draw the mandala, or can mandalas be improvised over a period of time?
So if you're drawing a mandala, as I suggested, ideally would be to go through a teacher or a guru. But if not, you should have started with a lot of chanting and meditation on the self as well as the Devi, and then start. It can be a very, very slow process sometimes. It can be a very fast process at sometimes. It absolutely depends on your own comfort. My personal advice would be that go slow with it, because I believe it's a process. At least spend 6 weeks drawing it and not less. If you attend those courses and classes, of course, they hurry you up and it happens maybe in 2-3 days, or it moves faster. But then that is also because you have a teacher guiding you, so the process is also moving faster for you. But I would recommend take at least 6 weeks. And absolutely, if a mandala is absolutely drawn by you, and after 6 months you feel, I want to change that yellow color and maybe add flowers to it, please go ahead and do it. Because you've started a journey of evolution, you're feeling different, your vibrations are changing. You're most welcome to changes as you like it. But remember, the important part is please continue to stay in a meditative state, in a state of gratitude, and if possible, chant. I hope that helps.
Right. Another question, again, continuation of that is also Rangoli also a mandala, and what is your recommendation for the house? For a house, what medium should be used, or what media should be used to create a mandala?
So Rangoli can absolutely become a mandala depending on how you draw it. And yes, because why is, firstly you have to understand why do we traditionally draw the Rangolis, and typically why at the entrance. So you draw the Rangoli, and there are certain designs in a Rangoli that are standard designs. Especially if you visit the south of India, typically every other house will have a certain pattern. Those patterns are basically patterns that are invoking auspicious and positive energies. Of course, these days rangolis are coming in stencils and all sorts of designs, and maybe that becomes more of a beauty thing rather than actually invoking energy. But rangoli is drawn with a hand, with shraddha, and with that emotion of usually every morning, with the invoking the goddess or the god, or with the positive energy, would work as a mandala for the house and protecting the house. And I think the second question was, what would you recommend? So I think a lot of people like to keep a Sri Yantra at home rather than a mandala, which is a very, very powerful thing to have at home. And it's important that if you have kept a Sri Yantra at home, then you must continue to have some form of spiritual practice being followed daily, even if it's for a short time. That's important. That's one. If you are looking at a mandala, then again, I would say that it will completely depend on you, because mandalas are so personalized. It really is your choice how you want to keep it. There's nothing specific that I would say that, okay, this will fit all. Mandalas are too personal to fit all. So I would say that you go with what you want to bring.
There's a question here. Rachna Chabra wants to know that, when you were talking about the circles and the mandalas, again, it's the exercise that you may do. I could feel a connect with the sign of infinity. What does this mean? Please advise.
So, in your mind, and perhaps you could also answer this if you like, in your mind, you might have an association of infinity with a universal energy. The short exercise that I was doing was basically making each one of you go within to understand how is it that you feel connected to the spiritual energy. How do you feel connected to the cosmic energy or the universe? And the part about the unique part about the mandala is that each one of you would feel that experience differently. Some of you may not feel anything, and which is completely okay also. But the fact that you saw that sign, so somewhere in your subconscious, you likely connects it to the infinite. That's one definition. And I also feel that perhaps you started feeling that you're now flowing the energy of the universal cosmic energy. So that's nice. And if you focus more, you may see more symbols, and that could be your clue to perhaps start drawing your mandala in time to come. I hope that.
Yes, I'm sure I can see a lot of hearts and thumbs up going here. So yes, I think it does.
I'm sorry, I think they don't know that I can't really see the chat, so you can maybe convey that, because
no, they do. They're aware, and most of them. Yes, that's how. There's another question here which says that how do we find the mandala and where do we look for it? So where do we get a mandala from, in other words?
That's a tough question, because ideally you need to find a source that is genuine and less commercial. So people are these days also printing mandalas, which are basically machine made printed, and they won't really do much for you. They look pretty and they'll be a nice piece of art, and that's where it ends. Because mandalas are always traditionally drawn by hand or made by hand or put in together, because that's where the energy flows. If you have a machine printing it, it's only a print. So you need to try to find a place where it's making them by hand. That's one. And if you, I don't really know of sources. My mandalas come from Nepal, and these are lamas who are constantly in meditation and they're chanting and they paint these themselves. So that's my source. And trust me, I didn't go finding it. They found me. So maybe start chanting for it, and you never know. You just find the right source.
Right. And I know you've explained this, but because there's a request again, could you please explain how to activize or energize the mandala?
Sure. I haven't really covered this. I can. So first, you need to understand what is the mandala that you've picked it up for. So, like I gave you the example, if you're having a lot of struggles in life and your energy that you're trying to enhance is fighting the tamas gun and raising your gun and overcoming the tamas gun, then likely you picked a mandala that the vibration is focused on Kali and Shiva. So, in that case, you need to pick up mantras for Kali and Shiva. Uh, I can't really give out mantras because I don't think they can be randomly given out like this. But that's your clue to finding how you want to activate the mandalas. If you're making the mandala yourself, like I said, you need to go through at least a few weeks of chanting. Of course, you can start with very basic Lalita mantras, because she is the energy, she is the deity that is connected to them. Listen to the Lalita Sahasranam. It's so simple. Start listening to it. Lalita mantras are something that I'm willing to give out because I think anyone can do them. And in time, you should be able to understand the vibrations more and pick up. You need to pick the mantra according to the vibration of the mandala. I hope this gives you some clarity.
Yeah, I think it does. And yeah, with that, I think most of the questions are done. Kanupriya, thank you so very much for explaining the concept so beautifully and helping us understand it and answering those questions with so much of patience. And dear audience, I would just like to tell you that Kanupriya has just come up with an app called Astro Kanu, that is ASTROKANU, for the Android. The iOS or the Apple version is going to be coming up very soon. So for those who want to connect with her and learn a lot more, I've been on the app, on the Android app. It is really very comprehensive, very interactive. So I am going to type it here in the comments. I encourage you, dear audience, to please go through her. And if you'd like to connect with Kanupriya for any guidance or any advice, please do go through the app. It is called Astro Kanu. Yeah. And with that, Kanupriya, thank you so much for being with
Thank you
us.
so much. I'm truly grateful. And I'm also grateful to everyone who was here, who had the patience to go through listening to it. And I really hope I was able to answer the questions. At this point, I think you can't get into very detailed topics, but I've tried to make it simple and I hope it was helpful. Thank you very much for having me over. I'm truly grateful.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Kanupriya, I know we said we were going to say goodbye, but there's a very important question that's come up. And
Sure.
may I please ask you that?
Please go ahead.
There's a question by Mr. Agarwal saying that can there be side effects or can it go wrong if we don't do things right with a mandala?
So, like I had given the example, if you ask your mom to come home and you're going to be doing shady things which she won't like, then she can be angry with you. So if you're going to bring a mandala with destruction for someone else or wishing ill on someone else, then sooner or later the results are not going to be good. I feel intent is extremely important when it comes to any form of spiritual practices, whether it's practicing mantras, whether it's looking at a yantra or mandala. Intent is what actually drafts the results of your karma. A lot of times people feel that karma is something that just keeps chasing us and it's not that simple. Karma starts with our intention and our thought. If we don't act on it also, it's still karmic. So it's very, very crucial that when you look at any spiritual practice, it is not focused only on the mandalas. Even when we sit down to chant, if you're sitting down and starting a practice and you start with a whole lot of anger for this other person living in your house, I'm getting this mandala and it's a Kali mandala and I hope my mother-in-law gets out of my life now. It's not the right way to do it, firstly, to start with. Maybe get a mandala that brings in peace and love in your heart and that creates peace in your heart, and then mother-in-law will no longer be a problem for you. So can there be side effects? It will all depend on your intent, just like everything else, because the karmic patterns that reflect back to us are based on our thoughts and intentions. It's not limited to only actions. If you have good intention and you bring in a mandala with a sattvic form and having a sattvic prayer, you can't go wrong with it. It's going to be fine. There's nothing that's going to go wrong with it. But continue to do the chanting, or if nothing, just say thank you every day. That will be enough. I hope this clarifies.
Yeah. And there's one more question which says that if we have a guru, do we still look for a mandala, or do we still need the help of if you have a Siddh guru in your life? Yeah.
So I think you should ask your guru that more than me, because ask the guru that I would like to get a mandala. Can I get a mandala? I'm sure he will guide you, because I would not know what kind of spiritual guidance you are at or things like that. Are there rules? Are you part of a community that follows a certain way of living? So yes, of course, you must ask the guru in case these set of rules exist, because I would not know. And in case there are none, then please go ahead and get a mandala, because it's nothing but you connecting to the universal soul, and the guru, just like the mandala, is another instrument in your life. So if they are okay with it, then I don't see any issue why you can't get one.
And with that, thank you again, Kanupriya. It was such a pleasure having you with us
Thank
tonight.
you so much, and a very good night. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you, dear audience. Good night, Shubh Ratri, Sayonara. See you next week. Goodbye.